What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 4 of Path to the Cross podcast. I'm your host, Zach Schumaker, and joining me today is a very special guest. He is a man that I've known for a couple years now, and I get to have him on one of my brand new shows with Path to the Cross podcast. This is a man that's a true man of God. He's a man that's part of the Sacramento Kings currently, coming off of having his contract guaranteed now for a second year, also coming off making the All-Summer League team. That's none other than Isaac Jones. Isaac, I appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So, Isaac, I have to ask you one thing. First and foremost, the past 4 or 5 weeks has been kind of surreal for yourself. You had your contract picked up, guaranteed, going back to the NBA again for another year with the Sacramento Kings. Then you go to the Summer League, all Summer League selection. Walk us through what the past couple of weeks has been like for yourself.
Oh man, it's been crazy. I gotta give all glory to God, all credit to Him. But it's a dream come true making the NBA. But the hardest part about the NBA is staying in the NBA. So it
Right.
was a little bit of a relief when you get your contract picked up, especially when it's a team option.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what's gonna go on. But besides that, I was just happy. But then I had to remind myself to keep that mindset. Like I didn't get anything, so I keep going, and it showed in my summer league. I think, and that's why I think I had a good one.
Absolutely. Now, Isaac, there's a lot I want to get into. And I feel like for you, the best way we're going to get into the situation and the story here is that your journey from where you began to today is remarkable. And overall, I think it's so obviously the way that God's worked in and through you throughout this point. So I want people to get to know your story. And as we go through that, I think it's going to help bring people closer to see how God's worked in your hands. So if we go all the way back, you're growing up, you enter high school at 5'5".
Mhm.
Obviously, you're much taller than that now today. Walk us through that. Like, why was basketball something you pursued even though you were 5'5" at that point in time?
That time in my life was a little weird. Like, I remember growing up, I always went to my brother's like AAU tournaments or watching them play sports. This is what my mom tells me. I don't really remember when I was that young.
Okay.
She was just saying I was like the biggest fan during those times, and that I always had a little bit of a love for basketball.
Mm,
But I remember back in high school, I was literally using the game to just try to stay out of trouble, stay out of the way of things I didn't want to be in,
mm.
and like I loved it, but I wouldn't say I truly loved it during that time of my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, quickly going to the faith aspect there, where were you in your relationship with God at that point? Was this something where you were being introduced growing up in the household of a Christian household? Did you kind of get to know him throughout that time span, or where were you in faith aspect there?
So my mom was a pastor and my dad was a deacon, so I grew up around the church. I
Okay.
always believed in God and always knew what was right from wrong. But as a kid, I wasn't deep into my faith. Like
All
I wasn't like I wouldn't be preaching the gospel out there or anything like that. But I knew what was right and what was wrong.
right. Okay. Well, let's continue through your high school journey because, like I said, you enter at 5'5", then you had grown to 6'4" by your senior year. So at that point in time, obviously we'll get into that next, but you obviously stepping away from basketball from a little bit. But that high school career, what was it like? And just take us through that aspect of your life.
Oh, it was horrible. Like we did not win. But I met good people along the way. But I remember, so my freshman year, I was at a bigger school, and I played C team, but I didn't like. I barely scored, barely did anything. But like, I still had fun because I was having fun with my friends. And like
Hmm.
I said, that's why I used it as like an out from
Okay.
being like a bad area to make sure I didn't get in trouble. But then we moved schools from my sophomore year to my senior year to like a good area. I met like a lot of my best friends now, and but we just sucked. Like my first year, we were 0-20. So
Okay.
yeah, it was terrible but fun. I would say.
Okay. If I were to have told Isaac Jones at that point in time that you're going to be in the NBA one day, what would your reaction have been?
Oh, I would have been like no, like because like I think it was in the back of my mind then, but like I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. Like the first time I ever like worked on my skills seriously was my senior year, and uh,
Okay.
and that was my best year of basketball during my high school time. And I just so I had no idea what I was doing. Like I'm like, oh, that would have been cool if I went to the NBA, but I didn't really truly believe in myself.
That's crazy because so many guys would answer that and say, I had this great confidence. I was in middle school, I was in high school, whatever the case may be, and they've been playing the sport for so long. So I have to ask then, what created that love for basketball then? Why all of a sudden did it shift to a mindset where you said, you know what, I want to go all in on the sport?
Hmm. So after my senior year, when I got a little bit better, a couple junior colleges started noticing me, but
Hmm.
only one team pulled the trigger, but they took that offer away.
Okay.
And yeah, that goes into how after high school I didn't for that first year, I didn't play anywhere. But I found my love when I went to junior college, and I found that one coach, that one person I needed to like show me my potential and believe in me.
For so many people, they would give up at high school. Like you would possibly even early at that point because they had other college offers or something like that. But for yourself, you were so locked in for the immediate opportunity. What's your advice for younger guys that's coming up and they don't have the offers coming out of high school? They have to go the JUCO route, whatever it might be.
Mm.
Why should they stay and have confidence in themselves?
Because at the end of the day, all that matters is the work. Like I tell this to my friends and to people I know all the time. They're in the JUCO situation. There's a pro at every single level of basketball, like in college. Like
Mm.
you're going to face people who are future pros in junior college. It might not be like NBA level, but you're going to get better. And just being in a structured organization like those, eventually you're going to get better. You just have to buy in, and the more you buy in, the higher you go.
All right. That year after high school, you're loading the dock at a pipe manufacturing company. And during that time span, you also grow another 5 inches. But that first aspect, at that point in time, were you essentially in the back of your mind saying, you know what, I'm done with basketball, I'm never going to go back to it? Or where were you in the basketball aspect at that point in life?
I hung it up at that point.
Okay.
I was working with my best friend and my brother, and all I could think about was just like, all right, man, like I'm gonna help my mom pay bills or whatever, so I could buy one spot, and then just live my life. Like I'll play basketball on the weekends or whenever I can. But so my manager there, his name was Wep. He told me from the minute he hired me, he was like, yeah, you're not gonna be working here long. Like I want you to go back to school and try this basketball thing again. So I didn't take him seriously, but then an opportunity came and I ended up doing it. But yeah,
Okay. Now, going back to the faith aspect, where were you on that at this point in time?
I'd probably say that's like since I was becoming an adult and I had a better understanding of everything, I
Hmm.
still was at a low point because I was still recovering from the school taking the scholarship away from me and accepting that life didn't go as I thought it would be.
Hmm.
So I didn't think I was at my strongest at all during that time.
All right, so obviously we look at what's going to happen in the future. We're going to go in depth and very shortly. But you go JUCO, you obviously go to D1, so on and so forth. When did the faith aspect start to really pick up for yourself? When did you feel like you really started trusting God and have that intimate relationship?
Definitely like middle years of my junior college year, so like probably my second year there.
Okay.
I think that's where it picked up the most, and I kind of figured out that God had a plan for me within basketball.
Hmm. All right, so we'll go back to your basketball career aspect, and you're at a point where I said 5'5" to 6'4" your senior year of high school. You grow another 5 inches during that year, next couple of years. Can you take us to that? 'Cause that's a lot of growing in a short time span.
Yeah,
What was that part like?
a lot of pain, a lot of growing pain, a lot of me not fitting my clothes, and me and my mom having to go to Ross, and I didn't have too many clothes, so I'd have to like recycle them outfits and just change the shirt with pants and get through the week like that. But the hardest part was finding shoes, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, but it was cool because like I went from the shortest kid, the short little chubby kid, to being taller than all my friends, so they stopped bullying me as much.
How much confidence does that give you on the basketball end, knowing that now, I mean, 6'4" is obviously a solid height, but now you're 6'8", 6'9" range. How much more confidence does that give you in terms of pursuing basketball?
I think it boosted it a little bit because I thought I wasn't athletic at the time, like
Okay.
at first, but I always thought like if you're taller, you got a better chance. So that's what I thought back then.
Right. All right. So you decide to make the decision to go to JUCO route, and you go back to college, and then you end up going to a situation where you're flourishing at JUCO route, and so on and so forth. But
Mhm.
ultimately, why'd you go back to college? Why was that the decision you made?
Man, shout out to Joe Lowe, one of my best friends. But I was playing late night, like Friday night basketball for kids up to 18.
Okay.
And I met this dude. His name was Joe Lowe, and he was looking for schools. He was playing somewhere, but he's looking for new schools and stuff. And
Hmm.
me and him became tight, and he was just like, "Yo, like I have this school that wants me, but they're not taking me unless I bring someone big." And I was just like, "Well, that got to be God. Like, there's no way like they're looking for someone like me and want to give me a scholarship and haven't even seen me play."
Right.
Yeah, so I had to pull the trigger right there.
All right. So all of a sudden, you're back into basketball. You're going to play collegiately at the division, obviously the JUCO route there. When you all of a sudden say, "Okay, I'm going to go from a situation where I was looking at saying I'm just going to kind of support my family, help my mom out," to now I'm going to go all in. I'm going to play basketball again. Was this now something that you were having in the back of your mind, possibly going to the NBA at any point?
At first, nah, I thought I was just gonna get my education uh, and like end up getting a good job out of it, but that
Okay.
all changed after that first year.
And the blessing in disguise here is that you end up having to go through the COVID situation. Obviously, it's a very frustrating, tough situation, but it ends up becoming a blessing in disguise. And the reason I say that is because you get the opportunity to go to Washington State later on. Had that not been on the table, you wouldn't have been able to probably do that transfer and everything there. When
Hmm.
you talk about the COVID situation, though, having to go through that at the collegiate level, what was that experience like?
At first, it was terrible. It happened when they shut everything down. We were at our JUCO tournament, like our championship tournament. Like we
Right.
just get there. We literally spend the night, wake up, and our coach is like, "Yeah, we got to go." Like they're shutting everything down. So it was weird, very weird. Just going back and having to move out of my dorm and go home in a short time. And my coach has us doing workouts on Zoom. Like I'm doing push-ups in my mom's living room, and he's like, "Isaac, you better not be cheating it." And like it was a weird situation at first, and then coming back and having to play with masks was even worse. So it was very weird.
All right. So you said mid JUCO is when you really started growing your faith. Why? What was the inspiration? What brought you near to God in that season of life?
I started like noticing that like he like JUCO, you get a lot of characters, like
Yeah.
dudes who've been through a lot,
Hmm.
or dudes who just aren't going down the right path, and they would always gravitate towards me. And I don't know why. Like I didn't know why at first, and then like even my coach put me in a leadership role, and he wanted me to like make sure they got up, or take them to get groceries or whatever, make sure they're on time for workouts and stuff. But I was just like easily influencing them, and then I started like just bringing up God, and I continued to feed their spirit, and then just I thought that was my calling right there.
I love that because I feel like that's something the way that God equips us. So many people might think, okay, if I'm not in a pastoral role, if I'm not in something like that, how am I going to be the light? But ultimately, the word says that we're all called to go out there and be missionaries. We're all going to be out there and have to preach the word, regardless of what industry God places you in. And you obviously felt that calling. You, at that time, like you said, probably were not equipped. You didn't know everything at that point in time, but you see the way God works in and through you at that season of your life. How much did that just grow your faith, seeing the way that God was able to use you to now impact so many other lives?
It's a blessing. Like there's nothing else I want to do. Like that's what
Mhm.
I'm in the NBA for, and that's what I have my platform for, and that's what I was like telling all the teams during the interviews. Like this is what I'm gonna use my platform for. Is literally what you just said, and like touching people and showing people there's light.
Mm. I want to ask about that because a lot of people realize that when you bring up faith, it's a very controversial thing, unfortunately, and when it comes to corporate world, especially, and the NBA is obviously a part of that. When you are telling GMs and owners and agents, all these different people that that's your platform, and obviously you live the way you live, where's there any backlash? Was there any pushback against you at that point?
I didn't experience any, or
Okay.
at least from what I knew, like
Right.
everybody just respected me, respected my opinion, and like I feel like a lot of them had like a relief because a young guy going into the NBA could be a lot of trouble and stuff, but I was basically guaranteeing them like, man, like I'm not doing nothing but trying to spread the gospel. So
Right. As you've now, I know this is jumping way further in advance, but as you've now gone to the NBA, you're a rookie. But when you look from the outside in, all your teammates that I know and people that talk about you say that they love you. They love being around you. You're a fan favorite in Sacramento already. When you talk about that, that's very difficult for a lot of rookies to have that role. Very, very rare. A lot of the time, it's the veteran guys. You have to work your way up. Was it awkward for yourself? Was it difficult to kind of become this locker room guy, this culture guy right out the gate?
no, I feel like I kind of transitioned to it pretty easy. Like we had a very unique situation with the Kings last year. Like we lost our head coach, lost star player, got a whole new coaching staff. But one thing they never asked me to do was change who I was. Like I'm just a
Mhm.
joking dude, so like the vets liked me to pick on me or maybe do something for them, put the towels down for them. But like I was just so easygoing and I wanted to make everybody happy, make everybody laugh that it was just seamless.
For so many people, when they get in a situation, and that had to still been surreal, you're talking about being alongside so many guys that people know around the NBA, whether that be De'Aaron Fox, that obviously be Sabonis, those be different guys that are icons in the NBA right now. And you go in, you're still bold in your faith. So many guys would kind of shrink down and say, I'm going to be quiet. I'm not going to be myself. What about you? What kind of inspired you to say, you know what, I'm still going to be the Isaac Jones that God called me to be?
I feel like I just have it in me. I didn't second guess it. Like I didn't think about it at all, and I would just do little things, and people would notice what I do. Like if I'm not suited up for a game, I wear like a Christian shirt or something. But I
Right.
got people in the arena telling me that they love my shirt, or like people will text me after the game and say I'm an inspiration. Just like I do little stuff like that just to. 'Cause I know there's a lot of eyes watching you. They see everything we do. So
So when did that boldness come for yourself? Because as you said, you would go back to the JUCO days. This is a situation where you're just starting to gravitate, trying to learn it, and you're seeing God working in through you. When did it become second nature? When do you feel like you got to that point where you were fully surrendered to the Holy Spirit and you just allowed Him to work in and through you at all times?
I would definitely say like the end of my college career mostly.
Okay.
I met a teammate. His name is Jabe, and he was like where I wanted to be. I would say like yeah, radical faith, and he went from having the season before I got to Washington State. He was playing a lot, like having great, and then when I got there, he wasn't playing, but
Mhm.
he never changed. Like he was still happy with what God was doing for him, and that inspired me, and it helped me take a lot of leaps.
All right. Well, let's hop back into where we left off, and that is you're at the JUCO level. After 3 years, you ended up getting the opportunity to go to Idaho. How
Mm-hmm.
did that opportunity come to be for yourself?
So during the JUCO time, the coach is now my mentor and my like one of my best friends. Like I'm the godfather to his children. Like I love that
Okay.
dude. Yeah. So he's the person that told me to go to the NBA. Like he said, told me I was going to go, but just working with him in the summers and stuff, I had this connection I wanted to like keep. And so me and him were talking, and I was like, Coach, like I want to go Division 1 for sure, but I
Mhm.
want you to go with me. And the whole Idaho thing was a perfect situation. The coaching staff there loved him, and they loved me. And then on top of that, my one of my best friends from back home committed to the school, and I was like, this is like stuff that only happens in a movie. Like
Right.
God's making me the main character right now. And so I was like, I got to do it, and that's how we ended up doing it.
Okay, this is when you and I first started getting to know each other. We started following each other on X is when you made the transfer to Idaho, and then you have an incredible year out there at Idaho. But I have to ask you, going the same question I asked you a little bit ago, is that if I were to DM you and say, "Hey, yo, Isaac, in 3 years from that point, you're going to be in the NBA, but already head into your second year in the NBA with the Sacramento Kings," would you have believed at that point in time?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
What gave you that confidence? Because when you talk about it, obviously there's not a lot of guys from Idaho that's made it to the NBA. It's not a high level Division 1 program. What gave you that confidence at that point in time?
100% my coach,
Okay.
my JUCO coach. The work I put in with him during the summers while I was there, and the just the belief he showed me, and he was like, "You're telling me I have the skills, like I have what it takes."
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually just believed it with my whole heart, and then from Idaho on, I knew I was going to end up here.
For so many people, finding that person that has true belief in you, someone that can really bring you into your inner circle is key. And especially when it's a father figure or something along those lines. You obviously sounds like this is the type of guy you're talking about here. How critical has that been for you in your life?
Huge. It made like being well going to JUCO was the first time away from home, and
Right.
it made me feel like I had another home out there. Him and me meeting my wife from where JUCO was, those two characteristics right there made it so easy for me.
Okay. Well, let's head into that year. Your Big Sky Conference Newcomer of the Year, all Big Sky second team selection. You averaged 19.4 points per game, 7.8 rebounds. What was that year like for yourself?
It was crazy. It was like I said, like it felt like a movie. We didn't win that much,
Right.
but the things that me and my best friend were doing, and my teammates at the time, like it was making a change for Idaho. Like we might not have been winning, but we were competitive, and they haven't been competitive for a minute. And it was just it proved to anyone that was questioning me, like I missed out on offers from schools because they thought since I was playing JUCO, like I wasn't playing real competition, that I'm not gonna be able to post up Division 1 bigs or do what I do. And so
Mhm.
that year was more of a statement year for me.
And I talked about it earlier. You have to go through the COVID year, but it ends up becoming a blessing in disguise because it allows you the opportunity to take one more year of college basketball. You enter the portal, you go to Washington State, have a phenomenal year out there. But I want to ask about the transfer portal process because probably for the first time in your career, you're now recruited like the person that you probably always wanted to be. You obviously have all these different big schools wanting you. You're a top transfer. What was that experience like?
For me, it wasn't. I didn't experience it too much because I went in with a plan. Like
Okay,
I did the same thing. Like I wanted my coach with me, and I knew Washington State had a spot, and I knew that they
gotcha.
liked me and the coach. And it was 15 minutes away from Idaho, and I still get to represent my home state. And so
Okay.
to me, it was a no brainer for sure.
All right, so you get out there, coming off a year where you're second team All Big Sky. Now you're first team All Pac 12. 15.3 points per game, 7.6 rebounds. First team, as I said, All Pac 12. How was that experience like?
That year, it was crazy. We had a very good team, a team full of people with chips on their shoulders. A dude that just beat cancer, some JUCO guys, Division II guy that was second in Rookie of the Year voting this year. Like we just had some dogs, and we wanted to prove everybody wrong. I remember preseason they ranked us to be second to last, and we just took it personal. And took us a second to get going, but that's one of the strongest connected teams I've been on,
All
and
right.
it was just a blessing because we shocked the world on repeat. Made the tournament, we're ranked, and all that.
All right, so this is when you told us that this is kind of the year that you really allowed the Holy Spirit to fully take over and you really became that type of person that you are today, that man of God. When you reflect back, was there a certain thing like you'd say just over the duration of the year? Was it a certain instance, would that be a day or night or something that had happened? Or when did that really happen over that year?
It was like in small increments. I would say like little
Okay.
things happening. Like the first thing I did was I used to listen to like worldly music and stuff, and I just cut all of it out.
Mm,
And I just found nothing but Christian artists. So now all my playlists are completely like healthy for me and speak life only. And
mm, mm.
then I found a church out there, and then I really started reading my Bible more with my teammate and my wife, and it just little stuff was happening. I guess just make it better.
I want to follow up on the music aspect. That's something that I feel like is more and more eyes are being open to that in today's world. But I feel like it's a critical thing. And I actually wanted to address this with you because I'm glad you brought that up. When you talk about that, so many people that are believers want to listen to secular music. Obviously, it's very controversial. There's a lot of stuff that can bring upon your life. When you talk about making that transition, I know it had to be difficult because you go to a locker room, 99% of people are going to be listening to worldly music.
Mhm.
What allowed you to say, you know what, I know this is not right, I'm going to step away from it and I'm going to allow my ears, my mind to be truly set upon God?
I know music is powerful.
Mm,
It could definitely impact you in negative and positive ways. And I forgot what exactly happened, but during that time, but I just told myself I only want to listen to music that speaks life,
mm.
that upbrings people and doesn't tear people down. And then if you really just listen to what these rappers say and stuff, like like I'll never do anything that they're saying, and like half the people in the world that listen will never do it. They don't even do it, and so I was
Right.
like, it's just a waste of my attention, a waste of my years. Like they don't do nothing for me. But no, I'm definitely big in believing like what you hear can change who you are, and you should only speak life.
I like what you said there, and something that honestly was a turning point for myself. 'Cause I did a very similar thing, only Christian music now at this point, and it brought me back to Saul is somebody that's going through a certain situation. They bring David in to try curing him of his demons, and the way they utilize that is through music. And then you go throughout the entire psalter that David writes. So much of it is music based. And when we realize that worship is something that's always supposed to be there. Now I know that some people get that confused and think it only has to be true worship music, but ultimately it's filling your mind with things, setting it upon God at all times. When you talk about the power, the impact that has now had on your life, how would you say this transformed you?
It's huge, because I'm supposed to honor him and uh, keep him first in every single way. And I honestly felt like I started playing better when I started listening to just stuff that would praise him, and it just made sure he got the glory through it. But that's how I
Mhm.
feel about it. So.
So many people that are even our believers will say, hey, it's not that big of a deal. I like it too much. Why should they make that decision? Why is that good and beneficial for their life, but ultimately they walk with God?
I mean, I was there too because like I said, I grew up a believer. I was like, man, it's just music. It's not that big of a deal. But people got to remember that Lucifer was in charge of music every time God entered. So like that for me, when hearing that, like it told me everything I need to know. Like that's why music is so addicting to people. That's why, like that's all we do. That's why everybody walks around with headphones and stuff because this dude's pulling the strings behind it. So you might as well take what he's using and use it to glorify our God. And if you glorify him, he's gonna give it right back to you.
Was that transition hard for yourself? Was it something where you said, okay, I'm going to add some Christian music into my playlist. I'll still have both, balance it out, and eventually transition? Or was it just one night saying, I'm going to get rid of it all?
It was literally one night. Like I
Okay.
always had a Christian playlist because I played in the car with my mom
Hmm.
and all of that. But yeah, just one night, I just woke up and I was just like, dog, like I'm gonna press delete on this playlist, and then spent the whole night just like finding new artists, and listening to songs and adding it to my playlist. And I spent a lot of nights doing that actually. So my playlist expanded a lot, but it wasn't that hard for me once I decided to do it.
And you know what I've noticed, that there are so many incredible Christian artists, whether that be country, that be rap, that be whatever genre it is. There's so many great Christian artists in every genre, and I think that's key for people to hear that. And so, obviously, I want to give you the platform right now to ask to kind of talk about this. For somebody that's trying to maybe on the edge of deciding if they're going to go down and get rid of secular music or not, who are some great Christian artists? Who are some people that you love listening to that would be people that they could turn to?
Man, I love my favorite rapper right now is Keon Boone.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, man, all summer league, he released a song, and that's all I listen to.
Okay.
Yeah. But him, Caleb Gordon, who else? I have a lot of like new artists I've been finding and stuff. But we literally Christian artists have like better skills, I would say, because they could rap about God and not use the same thing over and over again. But they in any genre does not matter. So really, just I sit down, dive into a couple artists like the two I said, and you could just go to featured artists and just find a lot more. But I don't know. For me, it was an easy transition, but definitely Keon Boone is my top one right now.
I love that. Now, in terms of your transition, as you said, Washington State, really your life is fully given over to God. Where would you say in your walk was the most difficult thing, whether it's the most difficult thing to give up on, leave aside, or whatever was the most difficult part of that transition to fully giving your life to God?
Um, I think the most difficult part had to be what's a good one? Just like I guess watching what I say because I said I was big on like speaking life.
Right.
I wasn't like that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like I joke with my friends, and I didn't have the best mouth. I would cuss and do stuff, and I feel like that part was the hardest for me to lose because like even though I don't mean harm by what I'm saying, I shouldn't be saying I shouldn't be joking that way, and it's just not the right thing to do. So that part was hard, and then
Okay.
besides that, just I guess music would be second to it because like I grew when I grew up I never did anything like I never partied or did
Mm,
anything like that, so I didn't have anything like that to give up.
okay. I like how you brought up the speaking life aspect. I feel like that's another aspect that is difficult for so many people, but it's such a critical component. And I think so many people, just in general, if you're going to speak life to people, that can impact people, whether you're a believer or not, that's massive for society. When you talk about really embracing that and allowing God to speak in and through you, how much have you seen that impact the lives of those around you?
A lot. Like for me, it's mostly with my teammates,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially during the JUCO years and stuff. But just being able to see them grow as people, like they're not perfect. And that's what they're gonna learn. Like we'll never be perfect, but just to see the progress they made, the process they made, and how they're starting to believe in God, and they're starting their walks and their journeys, and they always hit me up with like questions or just tell me how things are going. But stuff like that, or like even people I talked to in high school, not that I don't talk to as much now, or I barely talk to, ask me about God, and then of course there's thousands of people who watch basketball and always ask me questions too. But just being able to be that type of vessel for people, even for people I don't even know, and they have the boldness to ask me, it just makes it worth it.
I love it. All right, so we wrap up that Washington State year, and you get put in a situation. Obviously, you're a little bit older. A lot of people will be doubting you still. You get to the Portsmouth Invitational. This is well in advance before going to the G League Elite Camp. Then you have to go keep working your way up. But this is your opportunity. You do get a chance to earn it, and it's very, very slim. But there's about one or two guys I'd say each year that end up working their way up all the way to the combine. That year, you were that guy.
Mm.
When you get set in this opportunity to go to Portsmouth Invitational, what's going through your mind? How confident are you that you're going to make it and have the next, what is it, 3 or 4 week process of the NBA Combine? What gave you the confidence heading into that?
I was kind of, I was kind of like scared during the time. Not gonna lie, like I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
Um, but my wife, thank God for her, but she was with me the whole time, and she'd pray for me a lot,
Mm.
and she was just installing confidence in me before we went out there because she went out there with me, and then when I just got out there, it just felt like a normal game. Like I stressed it for no reason, but I knew that I had that small chance and that I wanted it, and I had to show that I wanted it more than the other guys there.
As I said, that next transition period or the next, I think it's about 3 or 4 weeks is hectic for yourself. You go to Portsmouth, and almost each and every single one of these, in a certain sense, is almost like your last opportunity. Now, obviously, you still have combine workouts, all the different things that happen in the lead up to the draft. But for you starting at Portsmouth, that kind of is your last chance in a sense. You go from there, G League Elite Camp. You earn your spot, one of the 5 calls to the NBA actual combine. And then you're in the position where now you're looking at competing against some of the top guys, most of which are going to get drafted. What was that overall 2, 3, 4 week span? What and how hectic was that time of life for yourself?
Man, it was crazy, especially because the G League camp is a whole week before the NBA combine.
Right.
Like just going to the G League camp and seeing what those guys had to do, and meeting a bunch of players there, and playing as hard as I can, getting called up, and then having to stay there for another week and a half. So I'm in this hotel for 2 weeks and a half, just doctors poking me, checking my limbs, and just doing nothing but basketball. Didn't bring my game, so I was miserable. I was like, man, like I gotta get out of here. But it was a blessing. You know, not a lot of people get to do that, and it wasn't. I guess it's hard to just stay focused on basketball during it because you're thinking about everybody just looking at you and you're wondering what they're thinking, and you're going through interviews with teams, and it's just a lot. It was like, man, it was just like a 2 week long job interview for real. So it was crazy.
I'm not sure if you at any point sat down and just thought of your journey to that point, but now that you look back at it, when you reflect on that, you're now at the NBA Combine, something that almost every kid dreams about being a part of. And you know your story, going all the way back to freshman year of high school, being at 5'4", all the way to taking a year off and almost putting down the ball forever after high school, and everything you've gone through. How surreal was it knowing that you are now in that position?
Oh, I cried. It was crazy.
Mm,
You know, sometimes I wonder like why he chose me. He could have chosen anybody, but I know it came from him, so I can't like go back and think anything that like that I don't even know what I'm trying to say there. But yeah, like he just chose me, so like it's crazy, and I'm just thankful that he could have picked anybody, but he picked me.
absolutely. All right, so then you go to the NBA draft standpoint, and you end up going undrafted. We signed a two-way contract with the Kings shortly after it. Walk us through that night, because obviously I'm sure in the back of your mind you want to get drafted, but I have to ask this. Did you expect to get drafted, or did you kind of already know with your agent that you probably were going to go and draft and sign a two-way?
It was crazy. I had a lot of buzz going. Um, you know, and that whole summer was crazy. Like I went to I think 16 or 17 workouts.
Wow.
So it was insane. I was going city to city, seeing places I've never seen before, and then I also got literally married before the draft, or was it before or after? It might have been after. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I get married, but during the draft, we heard some noise from some teams. Like we had a couple teams trying to trade to get a pick, so I was hopeful. But you know, I'm human, so when I didn't hear my name get called, but I was like one of the first signees for two ways though. But
Hmm.
you know, I'm human, so I didn't get my name get called. My agent told me, and it kind of hurt during the second. Like I had a whole watch party with my family, and I needed a second to myself because it felt like even though I didn't fail, it felt like a failure. Like I'm human, and so it was tough at first. But once I got past the like 5-10 minutes of feeling bad or whatever, I realized that this is the beginning of something. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, like people would love to be in my shoes, and I can't react that way.
All right. You get that two-way contract though that comes along. You're signed with Sacramento Kings. You have made it. Nobody can take that away from yourself. You sign an NBA contract. What's going through your mind at that point?
That I gotta prove every person that's picked in front of me is not better than me. Like, I gotta prove everybody wrong that I should have been. My name should have been called, and that I'm gonna have an impact wherever I go.
Mm. I love it. Well, let's head into this past year for yourself. You go to the Sacramento Kings. You play in the G League. You end up winning the G League championship. Overall, had to be one heck of a year. Crazy rookie year for yourself. If you could sum it up quickly, how would you sum up your rookie year in the NBA?
Just it's the most wild thing I've ever experienced. Like I've never like my coaches have never been fired before. Like I've never seen people get traded. Like I'd be there talking to my teammate, go to sleep, wake up, and he shipped off somewhere else. So it was just like the weirdest experience ever, and it just felt like it was chaos. Like it was chaos for us because we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what our team identity was, but it was also a blessing because like I got to play, I got to showcase what I can do, and I grew a lot, and I just got so much better. And I felt with every game I was playing, whether it was in the G League or the NBA, I was just growing, and I knew I was only up from here.
Obviously, you end up getting promoted to the standard contract later on in the year, but when you're trying to balance this two-way thing, obviously for those that are not familiar with what that is, that means that you can only play a certain amount of games in the NBA and G League, and then obviously sometimes you'll be called up, you play 2 games in a day, essentially sit the bench with the NBA. There's a lot of different transitioning periods that happen there. How did you balance that lifestyle?
Um, it has ups and downs, but I was lucky enough to for the most of the year I was up. Like I only played 13 games in the G League or
Right.
12. So and there were like 3 games at a time, so it wasn't too bad for me. Like the worst thing I did was the G League championship. I literally took a red eye the day before. So
Okay.
yeah, I got there at like I think like 8 a.m. or something. So I
Mm-hmm.
went there. I didn't even get briefed on the game, or oh yeah, I did like a small brief on the game, but slept, woke up, played in the game. Like that was the hardest thing by far. But I know for some people it can be wild. Like I had some teammates where like you can get called up or sent down at literally any time.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, but it was cool at the same time. But no, we had injuries and um, other stuff going on, so I was fortunate enough to get some time and at least spend a lot of time with the big team and just watch and learn from vets and stuff.
I want to ask you about winning the championship in the G League because you take for your photo shoot there after the championship. You have your Bible in those pictures. If anybody hasn't seen that, I definitely encourage them to go check that on your Instagram page. But what was the inspiration behind that? Why did you want to include the Bible in your championship pictures?
There's not a picture I took this year, a pregame picture without my Bible.
Mm,
Like I told them in the video, like I go everywhere with it. I said, me and my friends said we got to keep that sword on us, and we call our Bible a sword. So yeah, no, I just it's big. Like I need to read some of it before my favorite verse or a verse that my mom sends me before a game, and I feel like it's just a necessity for me to play basketball.
All right, you said your favorite verse. I have to ask you then. What is it?
Right now, it changes a lot because my mom will help me read stuff. But during the season, it was Job 8. I think it's Job. Is it 7 and 8 or 8 and 7? It's although your beginnings were small, your later is going to be great.
Okay. And what about that verse stands out to you? Why is that your favorite verse, at least during the season?
Because I was going through a lot of ups and downs. Like when I did get to play the big team, I had a couple good games where I played a lot and I did good, and I just felt like I was fighting an uphill battle because you never know, especially as a two way, you're going to play, you're not going to play,
Right.
and there's nothing that you can do to prepare yourself for that. Like it just happens, and so a lot of times I had ups and down feelings about it. Like I really wanted to get my contract converted, and my mom just told me to read that, and she was like, "This is your life right now." Like, my beginnings were small, but it's literally only gone up. It's only been getting greater, especially when I got right with God. So
When your contract got converted to an actual standard contract, how did you find the news out and what was your reaction?
I was relieved. Like that whole week was stressful because I used up all 50 of my games,
Right.
and so I'm sitting on the bench for like a week and a half, just not playing. And I know I could help us win. Like I know I could be the energy guy, even if it's 2 3 minutes.
Hmm.
But I'm sitting there like I don't know what's going on in my contract. My agents are going back and forth with the GM, and just sitting there and not being able to play. And I didn't get sent down to the G League, so like I was literally doing nothing. It, it was tough. And but once I heard the news from my agent, I just felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like, bro, I finally get to put a jersey back on. Like it was just great, man. And it was nothing but love from the city and my family and friends. So
All right. So you reflect back on your rookie year in the NBA. What is the biggest lesson that you learned?
never take anything for granted. Like, and you just got to be professional at all times.
Okay.
At the end of the day, whether they play you or not, you will receive your check. But when you do play, you got to perform because everybody's coming from your spot.
Absolutely. All right. So now we've gone through your story pretty much to this point, at least. I want to ask you this question. You've had so many remarkable things that when you look back at it, you've seen God's hand on it. You've seen how God's impacted and worked in miraculous ways. Which one would you say has been the biggest moment that you reflect back on that you've seen God work in your life?
Um, I mean, just taking me from a kid that didn't have no, not a single offer, not no drive, nothing to where I am now. Like
Mm.
I feel like it's just unheard of and it's not natural. So like I didn't
Absolutely.
grow up playing AAU or anything. So
Mm.
yeah.
All right. All right. So you're talking about yourself now. You're in the NBA, and let's just be honest. We know that there's a lot of temptations the Bible warns you about. Obviously, you know there's gonna be different women that come out. There's going to be financial things. There's going to be so many other aspects, the fame, all these things that are so difficult for so many people to fall into those traps of sin. How have you balanced this? How have you made sure to say, you know what, I'm going to refrain from, I'm going to go away from all these different temptations, and I'm going to be faithful to obviously your wife, be faithful to God in this time?
In terms of like the temptations of like teammates wanting to go out or go to clubs and stuff like that. All I do is just I'll just call my life. Like for me, it's easy. But
Mm,
that and that was pretty much it. Because like I said, I never really had a problem with none of that stuff.
right.
And for me, it was I don't really have too much to say on it besides that. Like I was just blessed enough to get married before all the shenanigans popped. So
For so many guys, though, those are legitimate struggles. Those are temptations, those are things. And for those that don't know Jesus, they know that that is the only way to have quote unquote fun and enjoyment and pleasure and so on and
mhm.
so forth. Can you explain why have you found what ultimately God says is pleasure? You found what true relationship is, what God calls us to. Why is that the best way as opposed to what so many guys unfortunately are doing?
um, I think it's the best because it I think it just feels the best. Like you don't regret anything you do it like when you do it this way. It just feels right. Like you have no confliction or anything like that. Like these dudes will go out and then let's say they black out or something, go out and they don't know what they did and they can stress about it and it like not putting yourself in that situation will just keep you successful.
Mm.
That's all it is.
I want to ask about your wife because you've talked about so many different aspects, how she's been so critical in your career. When you talk about finding that person for yourself and how much she's been helpful in your journey, just talk about her and her impact she's had in your life.
Man, it's been huge. Like you probably know, but junior college is tough,
Hmm.
especially financially. And then Washington, we get 60% of tuition covered. So there's a lot of times where I didn't have nothing. Like I didn't have food. I didn't have nothing because I'm paying my housing bill and school bills and stuff. And she was always right there to take care of me. And it would be like just the littlest stuff, like bringing me lunch or just giving me a hug when I needed. But would not have made it here without her.
And the way you described her at this time has seems that she's quite a woman of God as well. Top of that in that aspect, in terms of you helping her become more like Jesus, her helping you become the same. How
Mhm.
big has that been in the spiritual aspect with you too?
It's been huge. Like we both grew up like knowing God, but weren't the strongest when we met each other.
Mm,
And it was when we brought up the idea of just growing closer to Him together. It was easy. Um, she takes care of what she needs to. I would say she's better at reading her Bible than I am. So like it would definitely help me read my Bible more. And
mm.
there's days where I'm too tired, I don't want to go to church, I'm tired from the games and stuff. She'll get me up and we'll go. And just holding me accountable spiritually is huge. And I try to do the same thing back to her.
All right. Well, I want to ask you about a couple other things before I let you go, Isaac. One of which is you look back on so many social media posts you make. Almost always they include a Bible verse. What gave you the inspiration to start doing that?
Just when I decided to go all out with him, I said everything I want to do, and I know my platform is just to glorify him. And so whenever I'm reading and I like a verse or something, I'll just save it, and I know eventually I'm gonna end up using it.
Mm.
But yeah, so I just whatever I like, I just save it and come back to it, whether it be telling the person or posting it.
One of your most recent ones, Galatians 1:10, and it kind of goes back. I'm going to read in a second to your aspect of saying, you know, I'm going to be bold, whether there's pushback or not. I'm going to preach the word. Galatians 1:10 says this: Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God, or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. That's your most recent post. Did you utilize that as the caption? Why is that?
Because a lot of people will seek, especially after the performance I had. I feel like a lot of people can seek their self glory and
Mm,
want the world to acknowledge them. Well, like I'm different. Like I just want people to know like, I'm different. It's not for me. I'm not hooping for me. And I don't care what people think. Like, there's people in my comments of me holding the Bible and stuff, and they're like, "Leave this out of sports." Like, that's not me. Like, that's not. I gotta be bold and stand on my faith and stand on business. So,
Mm. When you talk about the pride aspect, like you said, it is so easy, especially, you're in the NBA, you have this fame, you have this attention, so on and so forth. It is such an easy sin to fall in line with pride, even with just a little bit, to kind of get in that mindset. What ultimately keeps you grounded? What keeps you saying, you know what? I'm just a man. I'm flawed. I'm sinful. I'm not perfect. God's the only one that's actually almighty, all powerful. What keeps you so locked in and saying, you know what? I'm going to remove pride from my life?
pride is hard to deal with. It's hard to remove, but I think just every time, like when I like feel prideful about something, and I mean I'm not perfect. I had those moments.
Of course, yeah.
Uh, I literally just think of how like my whole life and what he's what I've went through and how every single time he's prevailed me to do it, and that people look up to me. And if people look up to me, I can't show them the prideful side of me,
Mm.
and can't show them stuff they don't need to see, which is me being prideful. Just to show them the grace of God. And I said another thing. I forgot to say. Even in victory and defeat, all glory goes to God. It's His glory alone, not mine. So
And you also have in your Instagram bio, let's make heaven crowded.
yeah,
I want to ask you about that aspect. Has that been something you've always just been inspired to have in there? What came to mind? Like, why is that something you wanted to put in your bio?
I think I saw it. So I saw it. I don't remember when I updated it, but it inspired me, and I was like, man, that's cool. Like, that's a cool saying. Like I always
Mm,
have, not of this world in there,
right.
because I don't want to be of this world. I don't want to be like this world. But like that's the end goal is because I want all my friends, everybody to meet. Like I want to see them in heaven.
Mm.
So I feel like it was cool and it inspired me to even continue to push and go farther.
In terms of making heaven crowded, it obviously requires us to go out there and be disciples, to be people that preach the message. And I know we've gone into this before, but I want to ask your approach because you're in an NBA locker room. Obviously, there's guys that's much more famous, have been successful, so on and so forth. When you talk about going into these situations where some may be believers, some may not be believers, it
Mm.
changes. How do you approach that? How are you the light in a locker room? How do you preach the gospel when some are receiving, some are not? Just how do you do that?
For me, clothes is huge. Like I spend a lot of money on clothes that are all witness wear, uh,
Mm,
all preaching the gospel and stuff, and then them seeing me in my Bible. But I'll try to plant little seeds. Like I had two teammates this year, and I go to chapel every game,
okay.
and they wouldn't go, but I would go grab they have like the whatever we're talking about in chapel on paper, and I'll grab
Mm,
extras and I'll pass it to them, and I
okay.
just plant little seeds like that. And then I got some of them some like Christian wear, and just planting little seeds like that in terms of NBA guys.
Hmm. I think that's huge because so many people think that it has to be this big show. It has to be something where, you preach a whole message to them, so on and so forth. But truly, I mean, that obviously is nothing wrong with that at all. But ultimately, what we know is that we can't grow somebody's relationship with God. It's going to be Jesus working in and through them. It has to be their own personal relationship. Our job is to plant those seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through that. What inspires you to say, you know what, I'm willing to go plant those seeds. I'm going to do, whether it's a voucher, whether it's just wearing Christian wear, whatever it is to plant these little seeds. What inspires you to start doing that?
I feel like my whole life is a testimony.
Right.
And the more I got to learn and lean on God, the more it just made sense for me to, like I said, plant seeds in
Mm,
teammates and people. And so, like social media wise, I know people are gonna see my page, so everything on there is for God. And then just my teammates looking at me, I want to see them in heaven. I want to see them saved. So I just wear a little stuff. But I think it just came naturally with me giving my life to God, and I feel like I understood my purpose.
In terms of the NBA scene, was it easier as the year went on? And do you feel like even now, as you're going to head into year two, will it be even easier as you now have a larger voice, a larger role in the team? Or would you say from day one, it was pretty much always the same and as easy for yourself?
I feel like no, I definitely feel like I grew a little bit because when you first get there, you're kind of scared.
Right.
Like you just do whatever anybody says. You don't talk to people first, and you wait to be talked to. But now I'm more comfortable and realize that everyone in the league is really just like you. But
Mm,
I tell people this all the time. We're just like everybody else in the world, except we just get a large paycheck.
right.
And I feel like just understanding that, like these dudes are human too. It just makes them easier to talk to, and yeah.
You also brought up the chaplain aspect, and that's something I was wanted to ask you a little bit about as well. Obviously, that's always an opportunity to NBA guys. You've experienced it. You just talk about that, something you always like to go to. Is that something that is followed by a lot of guys? Like, do you have quite a few players and coaches or whatever show up to those beforehand? Is it limited? What is that? What is the whole experience even like?
It's cool. It's like a quick 15 minutes before. I forgot how much time's on the clock. I think we'll go like an hour on the clock before the game. That's what it is.
Okay,
It's just 15 minutes. The team will have their chaplain from most of the time like a local church or something, and all players and coaches are invited and stuff. Like we had a couple guys that would go, but it was cool because there's some young teams or some other teams will have a lot of guys that would go, and it's just a quick little fellowship. Like they talk and they talk to you, ask you questions, and give you a little word, and it's just cool because I feel like it's a safe place for everybody, and
right.
even dudes who aren't Christians they'll pull up and just learn and take away from it. But it's just really cool to see, and like there's a lot more people that go than you think in the NBA.
I love that. So when you talk about this connection, like you're going to different teams. I know there's some guys that I know that are strong believers as well. But how much does it help? Because obviously you're talking about yourself. You're in the NBA. There's a lot of people there. Obviously, still a short amount in perspective for everybody else, but still a lot of people there. How much does that help in terms of finding fellow brothers in Christ to kind of create those relationships with by going to chaplains?
Oh, a lot. Like there's this. I wasn't there, but like Jonathan Isaac, I'm starting to get close with him, and
Okay.
really he's really in tune with his word and stuff. But
Hmm.
people, there's like a group chat, and it was led by one of the chaplains there, and it allows everybody to connect. And they have Zooms about talking about God, and he'll come and bring us a message and stuff because it's hard for us to get to church, especially with our schedule and stuff. So
Hmm.
for us, that's like our little mini church session right there, and so it's just cool to fellowship with them and then go compete right after. It's like what else could you want?
That's awesome. You just brought up another key point there, and that is find this balance. Obviously, when you're in the off season, like right now, it's going to be a little bit easier. August, September, kind of the easier, laid back. It's almost your off season, really, because obviously for you did summer league and these things. But NBA, you're talking about back to back nights. You're in one city to the next big city. It is a hectic. I think personally, obviously, because of baseball as well is probably most difficult in terms of that regard. Just nonstop working out, practicing games, so on and so forth. How do you stay grounded and prioritize God when you have every excuse to say, you know what, I'm too busy for God? How do you keep him number one still?
uh, just trying to just trying to like spend time with them every moment I can.
Mm,
But that's also where my wife comes in because, like I said, I was really tired. But like, if I have a 10-day off, she's gonna make sure I get there, get to church, and go to her. But
okay.
like, the hardest part is just like balancing your time because you got to make time for God because He makes time for you. But
Mm.
I'm tired. I'm on a plane, but that's why I just keep the Bible with me because that's the easiest way to do it. Just that, and just reading every chance I get or music.
You talk about the church aspect. Have you had the experience where if you're all having an off day on a Sunday and you're in, let's say Charlotte, you're in whatever other state it is, have you ever gone to another church in another state?
Um, Not yet. I don't think I've had for when I was on trips. Every time it was a Sunday, we were playing,
Okay, gotcha.
so I haven't had that yet.
Okay. Well, I got a couple things before I let you go, Isaac. One of which is this. I know you got an NBA career, you're going to continue to pursue that, so on and so forth. Is there something post basketball that's on the back of your mind? Is there something that ministry wise, anything along those lines that you have considered that's in the back of your mind for after basketball days?
Yeah, I got a heart for since I was a little kid. I always felt for like homeless people.
Hmm.
Like it just hurts my heart to see anybody homeless. I remember like my mom would tell me when I was young, like I would just see them and I would start crying. And then like the earliest memories is like I gave this homeless dude when I was like 15, 16, like some brand new shoes my grandpa gave me, and I was like, these aren't for me, they're for him. And
Hmm.
so just like little stuff like I just want to work with them and try to clean up streets, especially back home. And so I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but that's heavy on my heart first. But yeah, just after, I just want to be enjoying life, be involved in church, and I think I'm gonna start streaming and start spreading the gospel that way too. Because
Okay.
I'm gonna have a lot of people following me anyway. So I like video games. I like sitting down talking to my friends, and I feel like it's topics I can just talk about for hours and have people watch and plant seeds that way.
I love that, Isaac. Well, Isaac, I've got one final question for you. I wrap up every single interview with the same question. It's talking about your legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? When you're done with basketball, you're done, you moved on. What do you want to be remembered for what God or for what you have done and accomplished and God's worked in and through you throughout your life, both on and off the court?
I just want to be like, I guess like a symbol of faith,
Mm,
and a testimony of what God can do. Zero to hero type vibes. Like, it's never too late. Like I think that's huge. Like, I'm old for a rookie, but I'm young because I didn't play basketball growing up. You know what I'm saying? So he
right.
could change your life in an instant, and it's just you got to be ready for it.
I love that. Well, Isaac, I appreciate you for taking time to come on in, man. It's been a blessing and honor having you on the show.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless.